The warehouse stood desolate, a monolith against the dying light. Charles, ever the skeptic, adjusted his fedora, his flashlight cutting through the gloom. Lucy, her notebook clutched tight, shivered, sensing eyes where none should be. Alex, always the pragmatist, checked his camera equipment, his unease growing with each passing moment. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of decay and something else, something ancient and unknown. A low hum vibrated through the floor, resonating in their teeth. A cold wind whipped through the cavernous space, carrying whispers that sent chills down their spines. They were not alone.
"Let's stick together," he muttered, his voice tight with apprehension.
The hum intensified, growing louder, more insistent. The air crackled with an unseen energy. Something was about to happen. A blinding flash, a deafening roar, then silence. Charles blinked, his vision swimming. Gone were the familiar confines of the warehouse. In its place, a swirling vortex of color and light, a kaleidoscope of impossible geometries. He felt himself pulled forward, his stomach churning with a sickening lurch. Lucy gasped, her eyes wide with terror as she stumbled through the shifting landscape. Around her, reality itself seemed to warp and twist, solid ground dissolving beneath her feet. The air thrummed with an alien energy, a symphony of whispers and groans that seemed to claw at her sanity. Alex, his camera forgotten, reached out for something, anything to ground himself. But there was nothing, only the swirling void and the growing sense that something had gone terribly, terribly wrong. He had crossed into a realm beyond human comprehension, a place where the laws of physics were mere suggestions. They stumbled back into their own world, gasping for breath. Relief washed over them, brief and fleeting, for something was terribly wrong. Charles's key turned in the lock with a familiar click, but the face that greeted him was not his own. It was a mirror image, yet subtly different. Lucy pushed open her apartment door, her heart pounding. The scent of tea filled the air, but it wasn't her kettle. A woman sat at her kitchen table, humming a familiar tune. When she turned, Lucy's blood ran cold. It was her, yet not her, her reflection, twisted and warped. Alex fumbled with his keys, his hand shaking. He pushed open the door to his apartment, his heart sinking. A man sat on his couch, flipping through channels. He looked up, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. It was Alex, but older, wearier, marked by different choices. The explanation, when it came, was more terrifying than they could have imagined. A hidden laboratory, a rogue scientist, a tear in the fabric of reality. They were not crazy. They were not dreaming. They had stumbled into the realm of the multiverse.
The machine, the scientist, a wild-eyed man named Dr. Albright, had explained. It opened a doorway, a rift in the very fabric of existence. He pointed to a complex array of machinery, wires humming with a sinister energy. You've seen it, the multiverse. An infinite number of realities existing side by side.
His words hit them like a physical blow. The multiverse, a concept so vast, so mind-boggling, that it defied comprehension. And yet here they were, living proof of its existence. But how? And more importantly, how could they get back?
The energy signature, Dr. Albright continued, it's drawn you here to this specific point in the multiverse. He pointed to a screen, displaying a swirling vortex of energy identical to the one they had seen before. It's the only way back, the only way to close the rift.
Our journey through the multiverse was like a descent into a surreal, nightmarish carnival.
Yeah, each new universe we encountered was a twisted reflection of our own, like a funhouse mirror showing our deepest fears and desires.
One moment we were in a desolate wasteland, the air thick with ash and the stench of decay, with the ground littered with the bones of forgotten civilizations.
And the next, we were navigating a neon-drenched cityscape. Towering skyscrapers pierced the smog-choked sky, and the streets were teeming with creatures straight out of our nightmares.
They encountered versions of themselves, some familiar, some unsettlingly different.
There was a world where I was a celebrated detective, solving the most baffling crimes with my sharp mind and keen eye.
And a world where I was a renowned scientist, on the verge of unlocking the secrets of the universe.
I saw a version of myself as a fearless photojournalist, capturing the horrors and beauty of the world in equal measure.
Each encounter chipped away at their sanity, blurring the lines between what was real and what was not. The multiverse was a labyrinth, a hall of mirrors reflecting back infinite possibilities, each more bizarre and terrifying than the last. The confrontations were inevitable. Their alternate selves, drawn together by the same cosmic forces, clashed in a maelstrom of confusion and fear. Each encounter was a battle, not just of physical strength, but of wills, of ideologies, of the very essence of who they were.
Charles faced his double in a dusty saloon, the air thick with tension. Their duel, a tense standoff of wits and words, ended with a shared shot of whiskey and a grudging respect. We may be different, but we share the same heart.
Lucy found herself face to face with her counterpart in a gleaming laboratory, surrounded by bubbling beakers and humming machinery. Their debate, a clash of scientific minds, sparked with intellectual rivalry, but ultimately forged a bond of shared curiosity.
We may have taken different paths, but our pursuit of truth remains the same.
Alex's confrontation took place on a chaotic battlefield, bombs exploding overhead and the air thick with smoke and the stench of cordite. Their struggle, a brutal hand-to-hand fight, ended in a draw, both men collapsing in the mud, exhausted but alive.
We may have made different choices, but we both fight for what we believe in.
The heart of the machine pulsed before them, a swirling vortex of cosmic energy, the way back. But at what cost? Dr. Albright's words echoed in their minds. Closing the rift would sever their connection to this multiverse, trapping them in a single reality.
The weight of the decision pressed down on them. Could they abandon these other worlds, these other versions of themselves?
Charles, ever the leader, felt the burden of responsibility most keenly. Lucy, her notebook filled with theories, felt the allure of the unknown. Could she turn her back on such knowledge?
Alex, his camera roll filled with images, felt the pull of his journalistic instincts. The multiverse was a story that needed to be told. In the end, the decision was made not with words, but with a shared look, a silent understanding that transcended the boundaries of language and reality. They would close the rift, but not without a sense of loss, of bittersweet farewell. They said their goodbyes to their alternate selves, promising to honor their memories, to live their lives to the fullest.
And as they stepped back into the swirling vortex, they carried with them a newfound appreciation for the fragility of their own reality and the infinite possibilities that lay beyond.
The journey back was a blur, a kaleidoscope of colors and sensations that left them breathless and disoriented. When they finally stumbled back into the abandoned warehouse, collapsing onto the concrete floor, it was with a mixture of relief and regret. They were home, but a part of them would forever remain lost in the vast expanse of the multiverse.
Most of their one precious life in this, their own extraordinary universe.